CNN began smearing and disrespecting two heroic journalists, Max Blumenthal and, of course, Sam Husseini. These two were, and Sam was, I would say, aggressively pulled out of Secretary Blinken's, final days. Right? But of course, again, Sam asked the hard-hitting question of why aren't you in The Hague? And let's face it, folks, with what's been happening under the Biden-Harris administration's watch, the ongoing crisis in Gaza is continuous, and yet CNN has the audacity to do stuff like this. So first of all, again, the cringe news network, I'm sorry, CNN, however which way you want to call them, decided to be very disrespectful. And this is for a retweet from Misty Winston, also known as Sarcasm Stardust on X. She's done phenomenal work. Please support her. Look at this picture and then read the headline. Now, the red is what was edited in, but this was the headline. Blinken's final press conference interrupted by protesters. Instead, journalists dragged out of Blinken's final press conference after raising objections to Gaza policy. And of course, everyone in corporate media was quick to jump on top of this. This is a tweet from Max Blumenthal. This is a better version of a video that I played on yesterday's show. CNN was central in manufacturing consent for the Gaza genocide. Now it's trying to insulate the author of the Titanic crime from accountability. I'd be happy to grant these corporate state media hacks a live in-studio interview so we can compare notes on journalistic experience. Now, chances are, Max, I don't think they're going to invite you on CNN, but we here at Hard Lens Media are more than happy to have you and Sam on our show. So let's play how CNN wants to control the narrative. When I say that CNN's going under, I am ever so happy for it. May there be a day when they finally say, hey, we be broke.
As you heard, he was repeatedly interrupted by some cringeworthy heckling.
Cringeworthy? So calling out a genocide is cringeworthy, according to CNN. Gotcha, CNN. Thank you.
By activists. I mean, we were both sitting here pretty stunned, frankly. This is supposed to be a press conference with a room of journalists. Those were activists who were
Correction, they're journalists. They're journalists. They're journalists. Both Sam and Max have done some very fantastic, outstanding work. They wouldn't be where they are without their work. I don't see CNN doing even a fraction of what they're doing.
Interrupting the Secretary of State when he initially was thanking the press and talking about the Israeli-Hamas deal.
Yeah, I think it's really surprising. A lot of our viewers will have seen protests on Capitol Hill, for example, during confirmation hearings, but it's very rare for something like that to happen at the State Department. I'm over there all the time in that briefing room, and you need to have a reason to be at the State Department. You need to have an appointment. You need to have press accreditation.
Which means that they have it. Yeah, look, 40 seconds in, I'm doing your job, CNN, which means they have it. How do they get in if they don't have it?
To come and go. So it's unclear who those people were. So I think there's a real security.
Okay, you don't know who they are. CNN, you're a multi-billion-dollar organization. This is downright embarrassing. Miguel H., one of my moderators. Clown News Network. Oh, you're being too generous. Okay, don't be disrespectful to clowns, okay? They're the cringe news network. That's what they are, Miguel H., okay? That's what they are. That's what they are. That's what they are. And, yes. And again, Peace Dove. Yep, absolutely. Looking at everyone in the live stream chat. Hey, folks. CNN doesn't know who they are. Yet they have access to social media. They have access to teams. They could find out who they are. So there's a reason why those two got in there. It's not like Sam and Max put on a little disguise and be like, we're going to sneak inside. Ha, 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 ha. That's not what they do. I followed their work. All of you, my viewing audience, have followed their work. Is this not evidence enough about why corporate media is on its downfall? You're going to go live on air and say you don't know who they are or how they got in there? Well, you already gave away the secret sauce there, honey child. You know what it was? You said you need to have a credibility and work showing for it, which means by process of elimination, both Sam and Max have it in spades. They got it all. They got it all there.
Question there. Allow me to be cheesy for a moment. This is a testament to...
Hold on, let's rewind this again.
Over there all the time in that briefing room, and you need to have a reason to be at the State Department. You need to have an appointment. You need to have press accreditation to come and go. So it's unclear who those people were. So I think there's a real security question there. Allow me to be cheesy for a moment. This is a testament to American democracy and the way that American administrations approach their press rooms. They give accreditation to a wide number of journalists, and increasingly what I would call less mainstream journalists, more opinion journalists, who have the opportunity.
That's you, CNN. You're describing yourself. You guys are opinion-based. Hell, weren't you all saying that Kamala Harris had the whole election in the bag and that Joe Biden was running circles around his administration? Huh? Because I think we're not remembering the same things altogether there, CNN.
Opportunity to go to the State Department, to go to the White House, and to ask questions of the representatives of that administration. So I'm always amazed by whenever I go to these different press rooms about who's actually sitting there. It's not just Americans, it's people from all over the world, from Turkey, from China, from South Korea, who get to ask questions of people like.
Oh, yeah? From China? I thought they were a bad guy. Oh, boy. I mean, shouldn't people be asking all these questions? I mean, come on, CNN. You're surprised? Yeah, be surprised. Be surprised one day when CNN has to be cutting your salaries in half again and again and again and again and again.
Like Matt Miller at the State Department or Karine Jean-Pierre at the White House, and so there's a relatively open policy for now in these different press rooms.
Yeah. So, of course, I think it's only fair that we do bring up this right here. Matt Miller and other propagandists at the State Department would rather have visuals of me being carried out than have Blinken have to answer a few of my questions, which, by the way, I do want to pull this up here real quick, and I want to extend this invite to Sam. No major U.S. news organization has reached out to me. I don't expect them to. I suspect that they are desperate that the public not looking at how murderous U.S. government policy is or think about what journalism should be, to which we here at Heartlands Media have said, we'd like to interview you about this. Keep speaking truth to power. So there we go. An invite. We did reach out, send out little messages here and there. So we will do everything we can, but I want to pull this up here again, folks. Here's Count Smirkula. Try not to punch the screen, folks.
Gaza City said simply, we are being reborn. It's also a moment of historic possibility.
You can leave, sir.
Again, I'm happy to address questions.
No, I want to answer this question.
I look forward to answering
He's going to
questions.
speak for an hour.
Thank
Gets to make lots of speeches.
Hey, it's Dime Store Count Dracula or Count Chocula. I shouldn't disrespect Dracula or Count Chocula. All right, those are two individuals of integrity.
Answer questions. Thank you.
Sir, would you like to be escorted out? Go away. You don't have to tell me where to go. You want to be escorted out or not?
Thank you. I look forward to answering questions in a minute.
I'm not a potted plant.
Everyone will have an opportunity to ask questions in just a minute. Thank you.
Miller has explicitly told me he will not answer my question.
So, thank you.
I'm justified in
So-
what I'm doing.
I have no greater pleasure in this job than crossing off a list I carry in my pocket, the names of those who have been arbitrarily detained and unfairly held hostage, unjustly held hostage, and bringing them home, returning them to their families, returning them to their loved ones. Finally,
Get your hands off me.
this morning,
Get your hands off me. Get your hands off me. Get your hands off me. Answer a damn question.
I look
Do you know
forward to
about the
answering
hand?
You know what the rules are. Phil Hiller. Everybody give it up. No, it's not Commissariat Hans and his deputy Fritz, but it is the political police. There you go. Had to introduce those two again. Give it up for Hans and Fritz. Always on the adventures.
Directive, about Israel's nuclear weapons. Everybody from the ICJ. I was sitting here quietly, and now I'm being manhandled by 2 or 3 people. You pontificate about a free press. You pontificate about a free press. You are hurting me. You are hurting me. You are hurting me. I am asking questions after being told by Matt Miller that he will not answer my questions until I ask him
Please, sir,
questions.
respect the
Wasn't the point of the May 31st statement to block the ICJ orders? You blocked the ICJ orders.
Please, sir, respect the process. Thank you.
Oh, respect the process. Respect the process. Well, everybody from Amnesty International, to the ICJ, saying that Israel's doing genocide and extermination, and you're telling me to respect the process. Criminal. Why aren't you in the Hague? Why aren't you in the Hague? Why aren't you in the Hague? Turn around.
Finally, we work to modernize.
And see, That's the system we have. But I do want to pull up something else here because Sam did have a chance to speak out of what happened to him. This was, of course, I want to give a huge shout out to the Katie Halper show. She also recently became a subscriber to Hardlands Media. That was pretty cool. So I just found that out. But I just want to play this. I won't interrupt it. But it's important to hear his perspective. And in turn, we do invite him to share his story about what happened to him as well as the future of the free press in this country.
Power brokers and members of the political elite who were pretty upset. So why don't you tell us, before we play this video that's gone kind of viral, set up what happened here, where you were, why you were there, what the context was.
It's at the State Department.
And by the way, from the video that I played earlier, sorry, no, I said when pause. Oh, well, guess I'm canceled. Remember the CNN video of those two jagoffs who were saying, oh, that Max and Sam, these guys were activists. They didn't know who they were. Remember, this isn't his first rodeo. He's been there so many times your head would spin. Your head would be spinning for days. How did he get in there? Plus, this is the federal, gosh darn, skippy government, okay? I mean, I don't know how to make it more simple as that. It means he has the credentials to walk inside that building, sit at the table, and be there. He's been there before, as has Max and other people who have been doing phenomenal jobs as independent journalists, for those who are associated with the Gray Zone and a few other independent journalists out there, not with the establishment neoliberal media. So there's a reason why he was there. So I'm glad we're actually playing this. So just wanted to rewind this. So let's go ahead and play this.
Or why you were there, what the context was.
It's at the State Department briefing room. The immediate context is that Blinken, who hasn't been in there in about a year, finally deigned to come on an hour's notice to pontificate about how glorious he thinks the free press is, and to do a victory lap about what he thinks how great U.S. foreign policy is. And I try to ask pointed, tough, timely questions. And Max Blumenthal interjected before I did, and made his series of questions and comments. And the overall context is that I've gone to the State Department fairly regularly for several years. They have made a habit of avoiding calling on me, but occasionally they have. And over the last several months, they've completely blackballed me, not calling me at all. I'm going to be releasing a tape on this tomorrow, likely, of Matthew Miller outright telling me that he has no intention of calling on me. So this is set policy. So I attempted to interject. I didn't mean to get hauled out of there. I meant to try to pointedly ask timely questions, and I did so a couple of times before the tape that you're probably going to shows. Like I asked, why do you refuse to acknowledge the Geneva Conventions applying to Gaza? That's U.S. policy. U.S. policy does not recognize the Geneva Conventions as applying to the Palestinians. It's utterly scandalous. The U.S. public is totally unaware of this, and they don't want me asking a question like that.
So I just want to pull this up here. The other journalists just sit there silently on thumbs. Yeah, that was really disappointing and sad to see, because that could be you, all right? You're next. Everyone is next to be put on the chopping block. Everyone's next when it comes down to the realm of censorship. And I keep giving this warning. What happened to Sam wasn't right. And even if that was somebody who was on the right or libertarian, it doesn't matter. No one should be dragged out like that. And with this crisis that's happening in Gaza, I mean, the death toll is not 44,000. The number is much higher. You'd be kidding yourself if the number is lower than 200. Hell, I only could dread to think what's going to happen when the final toll is added up. How many people died? And not only just with the Gaza conflict, but there's Lebanon, there's Syria. I mean, when does it end? And I am hopeful for there to be a ceasefire. I would love there to be a ceasefire. I wish there was a ceasefire done a year and a half ago, so that all this destruction wouldn't be here. But when the free press is asking questions and then the rest of the press room is silent, submissive, obedient, it tells me that our entire media infrastructure and what is being taught in the schools, The education system is downright abysmal. This is not how a free society should operate. This is not how a free media should operate. And when I bring up the warning of censorship, I've been through this so many times, as have my colleagues. And I have to say, I am afraid for a future uncertain. And it is a privilege to do something like this. It is an honor to do something like this. It is humbling to do something like this, to be speaking and covering about events that corporate media is not covering, because we are being lied to. We are being censored. We are being misled. When you have the top 1% control the politicians and then control the media, we don't have a voice. And one of the beautiful things about the internet is that we are seeing this, but we are also witnessing the horror. Yes, we see stupid things on the internet, but when I talk about the horror, the vile, evil stuff that we saw on TikTok, which is what's happening in Gaza, and then how TikTok is being censored or going to be gone, alarm bells should be ringing, and people should be concerned and frightened for something that is uncertain right now. And I am ever hopeful that we can build a better future. But Max and Sam, they're one of the dauntless few. Everybody else, you were so quiet that not even a pin would drop, because it wouldn't dignify itself to be in the same room with all of you. We need free speech. We need real journalism. It looks like Max and Sam were the only ones speaking out. And we here at Hardlands Media give them a true salute.